Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our first November version, first post-election version of our Sierra Club community conversations. I'm Steve Crowley, hosting tonight, and also on our team here is Rob Kidd, who's in the background right now. And we have a great discussion lined up tonight about Vermont Goes Green, which is a new effort on transportation happening focused around Burlington and Chittenden County. And with us tonight to talk about this are Laura Jacoby, Adam Frohwein, and Deb Sachs, who are all volunteer citizen activists who are trying to do the right thing for our state. So welcome, everybody, and I'm going to pass it right along to Laura. Laura, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Hi. So we're just going to talk a little bit about this initiative, Vermont Goes Green, and I'm going to start with the background of how we got to where we are today, and then my colleagues or cohorts will talk about how where we are today and how we want to move forward. So actually this initiative started 2 years ago, election night. I don't know if it was after the election, is election day 2018. And it was Rick Wackernagel. He called us all, he reached out to a bunch of people and called us all to a meeting at the Old North End Community Center. And to talk about, and he was working with Sierra Club's Ready for 100, and he wanted to talk about what we all thought should be done about emissions and greenhouse gas emissions, and what we as citizens of Vermont and Burlington could do about it. So we had a bit of a discussion that evening, and we kind of honed in on transportation as one of the key causes. The state's report had just come out recently, identifying transportation emissions as the #1 single cause of greenhouse gas emissions in Vermont. So we honed in on that, and to help inform the conversation, the next meeting, Rick invited Jonathan Slayson from RSG Group. It's a I guess it's a consulting group. And Jonathan gave us a very powerful presentation on transportation and the role of transportation in greenhouse gas emissions in Vermont. And it was pretty eye-opening. And a lot of us, it was actually, I don't know, about 40, 50 people. And a lot of people in the room didn't realize what a huge contributor transportation is to greenhouse gas emissions in Vermont. And in fact, one of our group, she told me later that after that night, she started commuting by bicycle. She rode her bicycle everywhere as a result. And so then a core group of us kind of met after that. And I have to say that a lot of it had to do with Rick's tenacity and pulling us all together. We met in different locations and just kind of talked about what we as citizens could do about the greenhouse gas emissions in Vermont. And we kind of fell upon this idea of tabling to inform the public, because again, there was this sense that there was a lot that we didn't know before Jonathan's presentation, and we felt like probably a lot of people didn't know that, and a lot of people didn't know the impact of transportation, and how do you get at that. So we throughout the fall of 2019, we tabled. We had our, put together this board with all the information, and we put it up on a table. And we tabled at the library. We tabled at actually we were on Church Street during the big climate rally. You remember in September 2019, and then also at Old Spokes Home during the Ramble, the Old North End Ramble. And I don't know whoever's familiar with the Old North End, but the Ramble is a time when the entire neighborhood comes out and just walks around and has a good time. So there was a lot of interest. What we found was there was a lot of interest, a lot of people, not surprisingly, very committed to cutting greenhouse gas emissions and trying to, get at this issue, very concerned about it. But didn't know what a huge impact transportation has, and and didn't the kind of the details around what could be done about that. And so we talked to a lot of people that were concerned, they were ready to act, but they didn't know what to do, and they didn't know where to go to kind of find out more information, particularly a lot of young people. So after that, we kind of came to this conclusion, well, maybe what's needed is a clearinghouse, because a lot of us work in the business, Deb and I, and people from 350 Vermont, people from Green Mountain Transit were part of this initiative. So we all knew, but we realized that a lot of people didn't know, and that, and we knew there were a lot of efforts. We knew that there was a lot of information out there, but what we got from this tabling was that a lot of people didn't know what was out there, didn't know where to find it. So that's how we kind of, decided that maybe this website that would act as a clearinghouse, and it would be easy and interesting, and really just pull together all the various efforts that are out there in the state, and just, basically be a one-stop shop online. So, and then I think Adam can tell you more about what it looks like now.
All right, thanks, Laura. And yeah, so I'm Adam Frohwein. I am not directly working in the transportation, or kind of in a field that's directly kind of working within greenhouse emissions or things to that, but I am a person that's very interested in being a part of some solutions, and that's how I got connected to this group, and really trying to figure out where we can go from here. So, and Laura did a great job, and I definitely want to just recognize Rick and all the work he put into getting us to where we are now, and kind of keeping the momentum going, in the times that we were feeling a little bit slow, because it's been a long process, but we're really excited about what we have to share today, which is the website. So I'm going to share that with you now. And I think the biggest part of what this is a reflection or a response to what we were hearing, like what Laura was saying, when folks were asking about how to get involved, and wanted to have some quick access to some solutions. So that is what brought us to this. So I'm going to pull this site up, and I hope, can someone give me a thumbs up if the site is up? All right, great. So we're seeing it. So this is the site. So it is a work, we're still working through everything, but this site is actually, up and available now. We're going to talk about when we're going to start directing people to use it as an active live site. But as you can see, this is our site, Vermont Goes Green. The main thing that we wanted to achieve with this is simplicity and ease of use to navigate it. Initially, we kind of had a broad, big site that was more of kind of a social platform type of feel to it, that had groups and many layers of engagement. But we realized that one, the capacity to manage that and keep it up to date and relevant was going to be really hard for volunteers. And two, it was potentially pulling away from our core vision, which is a clearinghouse, a place for people to easily come to see what's going on, and hearing about some updates. So what this site primarily focuses in on are getting people updates on events that will be happening throughout Vermont, and also a bulletin board, which kind of folks are able to put posts up that have some relevant information about transportation, sustainable transportation in the community. So as you can see from top to bottom, this site is very, it's very compact, it's very tight, and that was kind of our vision throughout. We started all of this work with the benefit of Burlington High School providing two interns that really just did all this work for us as a part of a senior project. And that was an amazing, well, it might have been more than two interns, but two interns that we worked with primarily, and they created the site, and they did that, which is a cool part of this whole process, is that it was a youth led design and build. So and now they are working, for us in a web kind of design component now that they've graduated. So it's been kind of cool to see it start from from high school project to something that's now becoming a piece of their paid work. So this site has two main things. We have events that you can kind of see scrolling here right now, and then on the right hand side are posts that happen from anyone that is a contributor to our site. So I know Deb's going to talk more about kind of contributors and what we're looking for, but right now, the way this site is going to be designed to work is having people give information to us in a couple ways. One, give information to us and then we can find a way to post it, or our hope is that more and more folks will want to be a part of this and actually sign up to be a contributor, which allows them to post events and bulletins without going through us. And we've actually developed a big PDF file that can kind of walk you from step one to everything to posting events and bulletins. We're not going to talk about that now, but I wanted just to note that this site is going to be powered by folks that hopefully get a drive to want to be a part of this, this project, and provide information, and organizations that are going to kind of share as well. So, so this is the homepage. You'll see the events are scrolling, posts are on the right side, and basically that's the essence of the site. If you click on an event that you're like, oh, that seems interesting, it's going to pull you right to that event and give you information about it. And as you can see here, there's a lot of space to provide whatever message you like, details, organization. So it really, there's a lot of information that can be shared for each given event. And the thing that I really like about the events is if you click on the up tab here, is it will give you a kind of what's coming, in the next week or so. And then this month view is the one that I really like, which provides kind of a bird's eye view of the month. And as you can see here, we've been populating some events that are coming up, but we haven't decided when we're going live. So this is going to fill up very quickly with ourselves kind of finding the information, putting it up online, and then hopefully moving forward to having folks sign up to be contributors to actually post events themselves. And that is kind of the events portion. The bulletin board is a feature that is going to kind of serve as a, people wanting to provide, maybe it's a story, maybe it's an update about rebates, just kind of a place for people to share some additional information about sustainable transportation that isn't captured via an event and can kind of be pretty broad in what it looks like. As you see here, it's just kind of, they get stacked on the most recent post, and then you click on it, the same thing, it opens up, and there's a lot of ways you can kind of share information. There's ability to kind of link in videos and really just make it very big and kind of like a more of an actual kind of blog post style, or it can be even as quick as just a, hey, there's rebates on e-bikes, check this out. So that is the essence of the site. Simplicity is what we're going for, and finding ways to really drive home that message that we heard from folks when we were out and about in the community, that they wanted a place to go to that they can trust, that has events that they can get involved in, and information about that. So those are the two core pieces of what we're going for. So that is the site. I know I kind of scrolled quickly around, but I am sure for folks that might have any interest, you can get the URL and kind of check it out as well. And then as you can see here, we have the Contribute Now button. And if anyone today that's listening really feels like they want to be a part of this site and sharing information, just click there, and you'll be able to put your name, first and last, and email, and kind of check what you're interested in and submit, and someone from our team will reach out and get you connected on how to move forward.
Yeah, Adam, can I just jump into what we don't have up here, but what also we're hoping to be a big part of it is like advocacy opportunities, right? So like we had talked to city council members who, are happy to alert us, or committees of the Burlington City that meet, when there are opportunities to weigh in from an advocacy perspective on policies that are designed to address the issue.
And yeah, so that like to Laura's point, our hope is to make this a simple, easy to navigate site that can really be broad in how we share information about what's happening in the community and what's upcoming and how to get involved in moving forward around sustainable, greener transportation. So so that's the rundown on the site for now, and I know that Deb is going to be talking next, really about kind of next steps on how we're going to move forward with this and ways to get involved in being a contributor and kind of an ongoing part of this this movement. So.
Thank you, Adam. I am just really excited and delighted about the organic nature of this project and how it's come full circle around the simplicity of this site. And one of the things, as I play many roles and wear many hats in transportation, and my involvement started a couple of years ago coming to this meeting and just feeling just the advocacy and the interest, to learn more about transportation, the largest greenhouse gas sector in Vermont. So I've been heartened and humbled to see just looking at the tour of this, Adam. Thank you. You did a great job showing how we came down from something that was pretty complicated. One of the things that Rick had was he's a very big picture visionary guy and also pretty detailed. So we really wanted to have a lot of things, but we arrived at a couple of simple things, and so to function as a clearinghouse. And one of the things that I'm just stepping back, and if you could bring back the site, Adam, and get us on under About Us, because I think we glossed over a little bit. Laura, you did a good job speaking about it, but bring up the About Us. And our goals, our vision was really to have that central clearinghouse around moving toward a sustainable transportation system. And we've gone over these words and come back to it as our creed for, well, what's driving us? What's our purpose here? And we really want to make it easier for both advocates and professionals. It was funny, so many times we talked and we said, Laura said, I didn't know that event was happening. And, so, and we were rooting around and noticing many of our friends and groups, 350 Vermont, Natalie's here, Kate McCarthy, who is taking over Sustainable Transportation Vermont's blog, said, oh, what is this from VNRC? Ryan Davis, CCRPC, and we have the Clean Cities Coalition, all interested in participating. And so with the Sierra Club seed funding, Ready for 100, and seed funding from New England Grassroots Environment Fund, we grew this what I call a central clearinghouse. So we haven't launched yet, but it is live and we're having fun with it. And so to have an easy access and place to share, to blog, to confer, we're interested in accelerating adoption of good transportation practices and technologies that are right in front of us, and engaging communities in that transition to a post-carbon transportation system. And so what I'll say is that it was a few of us that stayed with it and saw it through with the help of the Burlington Tech Center and high school students. Thanks to Hannah, I don't know if she's with us tonight, but she's and Joe they've been great at bringing this alive. So if you push down a little ways, down below, the contributors and authors that have contributed so far and are interested in doing more is this list. And we hope that this list, I mean, what's amazing to me is how many different groups there are in Vermont that are concerned about transportation, from every energy committee in the state that looks at that sector in their community. We hope that this becomes their go-to place to gather information, experiences, projects, and whatnot. And one of the hats I'm wearing, or two of the hats I'm wearing tonight, and I'll introduce Isabella, who's working with me on this and right behind the scenes, is Net Zero Vermont, who's concerned with zero net energy solutions. And Go Vermont, who has supported this along the way, because one of the things they have are all of these great programs, but few people know what's there. And so events around highlighting those programs and things that people can take advantage of. For example, I don't mean to make this about Go Vermont, but as a partner, they're critical in terms of delivering that post-carbon future to get us beyond the car and to get us into shared transportation. So we wanted to make a lot of this part of tonight about those that are participating and to be able to ask questions. We wanted, first of all, for you to know about this project. We want to invite you to become a contributor, and Adam showed us the contribute button right on the left. We wanted that prominent right in the center, and for you to fill out a simple form to become a trusted contributor. We don't want to stand in the way. Once you're inside and you're signed up, you can then be on your way to share your events, your upcoming events. We also wanted tonight to begin the dialogue on what are the barriers and challenges to a widespread appeal on a clearinghouse like this. Events, calendar, bulletin board. So are there others that are doing this? We don't think there is. We don't think there's a central clearinghouse, but there are a lot of folks that are posting events regularly. And is there a barrier there for some cross fertilization, some cross promotion? And if there is, what are those? And we certainly want to improve. And so I'm ready to kind of step back and open it up, Steve, Rob, if folks have questions, or we can clarify anything.
Great. What a fantastic resource you guys have put together.
Mm-hmm.
This is exciting.
Yes.
I just want to say, Rob posted something there in the chat already. So I'll just repeat that if anybody has questions, you can put that right in the chat box, or raise your hand, and we'll sort of get a stack going. But I have a quick question. At first, I know when Rick first started talking about this, he was really focused on Burlington, and his Ready for 100 effort was focused on Burlington, but transportation pretty quickly gets you to at least a regional effort. And now it looks like you're focusing statewide on this. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that was Deb's push, that I think that this is applicable statewide. Mm-hmm. I believe, though, that I wanted to honor the group in terms of focus on Burlington. And so we talked about even having regional geographic ways in which we can split up. And we just got that kind of got complicated, and we just thought, well, for now we'll do this, and it'd be a problem if we have to handle too much.
That's a problem you want to have.
Yeah.
And that was something that came up when we were doing the design and thinking about how this site can be replicated if there is a need to have regional kind of components to it within the site, and I think that's something we in that first build we had was a very broad build where we had categories that kind of were like central Vermont, north, but we realized quickly that was more to manage on the front end than we felt was maybe needed, and as it grows, having a site that can bend to that, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a good issue to be navigating very soon. Is if we're overpopulating our site and there's so much to look at that you need it kind of broken down into easier to digest chunks. So yeah, fingers crossed we get there.
Great. Well, I see that Rob, do you want to voice your question?
Yeah. So anyway, if nowadays on like Green Mountain Transit and even the Vermont Transportation Network, there's a couple different new apps out there like Token Transit and like Vermont, like I can't remember even the name, Go to Transit or something, that you can see real live time routes and even what fare costs, even though right now there's temporarily no cost in fares. Are you planning on doing like a listing of those type of services onto that site, or even like tutorials on to help people learn how to use those?
That's a really good question. I don't think a lot of people know that there's a real-time app right on GMT's website. And when we grow up, if we had enough resources, there could be quick links. And actually, I'll turn to Isabella to see if you have some thoughts, Isabella, on you're aware of these resources. What's your thought from your view?
Yeah, hi everybody. No, I was thinking about your question, and I think it would be great ultimately if we had a resources section of this website, because then we could, like you said, do quick links and pull from Go Vermont and Transit and everywhere and just have it, because it is a clearinghouse. But I think it also depends about like what we want this site to be. So if it's mostly just events and bulletins, then maybe we want to keep it really tight, but I think we'll have to see. And ultimately it wouldn't be that hard to add in those resources. But I guess if we could get the message out about, what's really out there, and that's, if this is just another platform to do that, then it would be a great idea. Yeah, it's a great question.
Laura,
Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say to Laura, to your point about New Americans and access, we talked about things not being that accessible. Could we potentially put a video or YouTube up that shows someone how to go after what Rob was saying, that transit app or real-time app? I don't know. I mean, it's all about access.
Yeah. So, right. So Old Spokesman, we're looking into developing, right, like these videos, instructional videos for example, how to ride your bike, and dubbing it in multiple languages. But so if like resources like that, Rob, or GMT's app, I mean, we could always put an announcement up on the bulletin board, right? So look, this is available. I mean, that's a good idea, Isabella. We could have a separate resource section, but in the meantime, we can just put up things like that as announcements or whatever on the bulletin board with a link to where they live. And then eventually, I think we have the ability to go back again, if we have that good problem, to go back and create buckets for the bulletins in the bulletin board, if such as a resource bucket, so I think we do have that capacity in this software that we're using.
What about planning efforts? I'm not too clued into what planning efforts happen, but I imagine that around the state, there's must almost always be something going on in different whether it's bus services or regional planning or other, bike paths and things. Are you gonna try to provide any guidance for people in what's, important opportunities like that?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, so our hope is that, for example, a locomotion, if there, if those opportunities arose, locomotion would go ahead and share that on our, on our clearinghouse. So I think, because we're not recreating anything that's already out there, but what we're doing is like a, kind of a clearinghouse so one place somebody could go about transportation and then to plug into all these resources that are existing. That was the vision.
Yeah, and with that, kind of like to your point, Laura, I think we kept on kind of falling on like just finding ways to have this site just amplify what's already happening, and that's one of the the main hopes is to use use what's already happening and just finding a one-stop shop to have folks come to the site and know where to go. So I think there's really no limit to what could be added as an event, and that's one of the great things about it is if it's planning commissions, if it's upcoming city council meetings, if it's just anything that really gets a message out about what's getting ready to happen. And that was like one of the distinct things that I remember when I was tabling, at the farmer's market, in 2019, where there's so many people that were coming up, and myself included, just not knowing kind of what was the easy way to know what was happening. And I mean, because you can check out, a planning commission, go onto a state or city website and have to scroll around forever to figure out when an event was or an appointment. And then by the time you click there, it was so confusing to know what the date was. And just, this is the hope, is that we're finding just a site that people know, can remember, and go to for things like that. And that would be an exciting thing, because there's so much work is done in so many levels throughout the state of Vermont that there's not any level that we're not wanting. We're wanting to have all of that shared and have a site full of events, ways to get into advocacy, ways to learn about what's happening, in your town, your city, and throughout your region.
I have a couple questions. This is cool. I think it's a really interesting project. I'm excited to see how it works out. So one kind of techie thing, it would be, I think, really cool and helpful to have the ability to like sync events automatically to like Google Calendar. I don't know if that's something you're thinking about. I think it's possible to do that, but it'd be great just to have things pop up and not have to like intermittently check the calendar. And then second question, I'm sure you're thinking about sort of how you're going to get folks to start looking at it, but do you have plans to promote to a more general audience, or you think it'll be more like word of mouth through sort of the advocacy, sustainable transportation world?
I think your first question, Jonathan, thank you. And I know Local Motion's been really interested in also contributing. Yost, can you answer the question? I think we did have the capability. Yost is our sort of technical, Adam and Yost. Can you answer that?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, right now the way we have is you can get those events and put them in your own Google Calendar or iCalendar, and so you can basically move them out. We don't have a way for you to subscribe or something like this, which I think would be one of our next things, hopefully. But there's so many things.
Yeah.
Right.
I think ideally that would be the best, where we're not having to duplicate effort here and have it sort of interactive, and to even be able to go out and grab an event from another calendar, someone, like have our regulars, if you will. I know Peggy's here. I hope that you will chime in, Peggy, for Clean Cities Coalition. But to your second point, we need as a next step, when this is launched and feeling good, that we're going to need a marketing campaign around this, for both the end user, the consumer, if you will. And if, you know, it becomes wildly successful, then maybe it is the statewide go-to site. For now, I think Burlington is our sort of test, Greater Burlington, Chittenden counties are our test location for this. And but getting the word out will have to happen in a multi-layered way, and perhaps even by all of the folks on, you know, here to help us in co-creating that campaign.
And I think kind of to that point too, one of the ongoing questions that we have is based off of how successful this is, and we hope it's, you know, it is, you know, widely successful, and folks really are, you know, using this as their go-to sources, then figuring out where we go from here. Because right now we're all, you know, just kind of volunteering our time and having meetings here and there just to kind of, you know, move it along as we can. And if this, you know, continues to move, then you know, then we'll have to start having those bigger conversations about, you know, how big can it be, and hopefully, you know, it can keep on growing to then have some, you know, we have we're paying one of the our kind of main developer right now is a student who graduated. So, you know, we do have some paid help for kind of site construction, but then the thought is, as we move forward, how we're going to actually have that presence on the site to kind of really be able to, you know, move things along and really kind of keep it going. So, but that's something we're, you know, really, you know, just going to wait and see how things go forward. You know, I think there's a lot of opportunity to make it really, really big and really helpful. Fingers crossed, relatively, you know, seamless if we get the right folks in the mix to kind of jump in to kind of populate and just kind of share the word.
I think,
well, you know, one thing I've seen a fair amount over time is you know, even though your focus is getting the word out and providing a resource, a way to get information, similar efforts might show up as, say, a co-sponsor of an event, or and use that as a way to get your name on a list somewhere that somebody sees and they check it out. So
right.
I see Jen Wood has posted a comment about collaborating with Green Mountain Transit. Jen, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I was just saying that, you know, I think it's a great resource, and glad to have, you know, I think we need one central spot where we can make it easy for folks to try to access info. So I'm excited about that. And I think, because there's a lot of duplicating efforts. I know we tried to create some videos, and then I was talking with Local Motion, and they were looking at creating tutorial videos, and VTrans was thinking about it. So I think this might help us if we can get coordinated, you know, create different videos that I think a lot of people need, and then ideally get them also translated. Another great idea. And then, you know, sort of have the collective power to aggregate these, and then beyond GMT, the other, since it's statewide, which I think is another great feature, you know, connecting with the other transit agencies. So, and I know there's a couple comments about apps. So yeah, we have on the GMT homepage, you can see the buses real time. So now the buses are equipped with software that shows, you know, where they are. And there's there have been multiple apps, so it can get confusing. So that's why this would be good to have it all streamlined. But so token transit is where you can purchase your fares, which right now is irrelevant since it's fare free for the indefinite future. And then, or maybe forever, who knows, but, and then there's the transit app itself, which is the same software that we're using on our homepage on the website to show where the buses are real time. So, which is another cool feature, which again, I don't think a lot of people know about, including, you know, and similarly, I think, you know, I'm sure Deb is already thinking about this, but a lot of the Go Vermont features, such as, you know, if you do ride the bus and you have an emergency and you need a ride home, that there are incentives or ways to get money returned, you know, like for up to, I think, $75, right, Deb? Where if you need an emergency cab ride home, that you have that as sort of a backfall default, because I think a lot of people always are worried about, you know, what if I need to go pick up my kid or something like that. And this is another resource that, to help make people aware of that. So somewhat, I mean, we have a lot of barriers with COVID, but that can help cut down some of the barriers in terms of, challenges that people may be worried about in taking public transit. So.
That's great. Thank you, Jen. I think Peggy wanted to, Peggy, I saw your square light up. I don't know if you want to jump in.
Yeah, well, so many people have kind of talked on the topics I want to talk about. So I'm Peggy O'Neill. I'm the Vermont Clean Cities Coordinator, and I've worked with several of you folks along here. This is so fantastic. I was on a call with Carl Chemnitzer. Are you on the call today? Tonight, and we were actually talking, about this whole idea of, having one card or system for our multi-modes. I'm on a bunch of different projects that got approved through the Energy Action Network with Jen Wood and among others. And, just thinking about the users, everything from translating and interpreting to how do we make this, how do we make our transportation systems easy to navigate? I was lamenting to Carl on our call today that I don't have the capacity anymore. I've got my Catma login, I've got my Go Vermont, and now I saw this I should be logging my Go Vermont, my telecommutes on Go Vermont, and I thought, oh, sweet Lord. And then I've got the bike share, I've got car share, I've got my 3 kids. So there's a lot, right? And so what do we do to facilitate this ease of transportation for our users, which I think, is part of just what Jen Wood was talking about in thinking about how do we make this accessible, because it is multimodal.
Yes.
And and it's statewide, so we want to be able to speak to our friends in the Upper Valley and down in Brattleboro and up in Franklin County. I'm quarantining right now in North Hero, so thinking about how do we access, how do we capture these populations who aren't utilizing or don't have the availability of different transportation options that we do in Burlington. So there's so much here, and this is such a great resource. So thank you, Deb, as always, for creating these fantastic things. And I think Steve was talking about earlier, get on sponsor lists so that the name gets out, and that there's this sort of brand recognition, and that it becomes it comes to the forefront of people's minds when they start thinking about, oh gosh, who are my go-to people to look for to sponsor an event, even if it's just passing more information out, a broader network. So
yeah, we want this to be the 211 for transportation. I mean, literally there is a 211 for transportation, but be not, to be in people's minds. It was, Vermont Goes Green. We went around a few meetings on what to call this, and maybe there's a better name for it. But for right now, we settled on Vermont Goes Green, and got, thanks to Rick, got the URL and started knitting this website together.
I think it's fantastic. And as they say, you can't edit what isn't written. So this is a perfect place to start.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you, Peggy.
What about things like some of the, I'm not getting the right word, but some of these programs you go down to your local coffee shop and hitch a ride with somebody, or
the hitching post?
the hit. Say that again.
The hitching post.
Oh, well, that's a good name for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I wonder if those kinds of things, those the new transportation system people are talking about in Montpelier, and to get away from regular routes. so that people have a way to, it's almost like it has to be on your phone unless you're carrying your computer around with you all the time. But I wonder if there's a place for that here.
I think you raise a good point, and boy, I can speak to Peggy. From my perspective, I've worked in transportation efficiency for a long time, and there are so many things. There's the transit app, and there's this app, and there's this thing to sign up for, and we need to kind of, as we get, that COVID brought, I think, this project and forward in a way that today we're going to need to be ready post-COVID for the new normal, for the new telework environment, for helping people be mobile, because there's going to be, a terrific recession that's coming where people won't be able to afford cars. And there are people now that can't afford transportation in the outskirts of rural Vermont. So if we could have the hitching post, or if we could have microtransit and all of these things available through a central clearinghouse where events are planned and featuring those kinds of things along the way, and harnessing that in a way where it gets it out to the experts, the Jens, the Peggys, the Carls, and Laura. We've got hopes that we could get rebates understood and break down the local motion, breaking down through pop-ups and the intimidation that we have and trepidation we have around what's accessible to us and how we can do this affordably. That's what I love about Vermont, is the talent that we have here. And so maybe you're right. We could grow this into something that each in our own right hasn't quite got our fingers sorted out on. We haven't sorted this out in terms of ease and accessibility. And Laura Jacoby, just coming into understanding what Vermonters really need, because I can sit here and say, oh, I know all the answers, or this is the way we can do it. But it's not reaching the masses the way we need to.
Looks like Peggy's added a couple of ideas of possible user groups that might be interested in AARP and Vermont Center for Independent Living.
Right.
I think it's interesting to think about all the different categories of people that might find this kind of a site useful, and think about how they'd be coming from really different perspectives. Some people just want to get a ride, and some people want to really understand the politics, and some people want to know what the latest technology is.
Yeah. Certainly a lot of interest in surveys right now, and even having surveys presented and having those events posted where people are presenting the survey results, so we can better understand how Vermont's future transportation system could be, what it could be.
So for everybody on here, I actually added a couple things in our chat box, because we did a discussion back in August with about microtransit, and particularly Dan Jones of the Sustainable Montpelier Coalition. We also had that day Ross McDonald of the Agency of Transportation. But then I think it was in June, we also did conversations about Vermont Bike Solutions. And that actually was with Peggy's partner. He joined us and a couple other people around
And
there.
Carl.
And so we've been doing those conversations here throughout ourselves, but even getting another place to get this stuff out, to get it over so more people know about it or know that we're talking about this stuff. Oh yeah, and actually I forgot, we had Jen Wood with Kurt McCormick, the chair of the House Transportation Committee in May as well. So there's a lot of these conversations that are happening all across the state, but having a central point where people can get to it is such a great idea. But actually, I actually was going to ask one more question of myself. is what do you need to promote this more? What, like, is there like organizational support? Is there funders, donors, or is there, what kind of resources are out there that you need to help push this besides us promoting it like this?
Well, I think that just tonight's conversation is heartening. That your email out notifying everyone about this event came in a stream of, oh, this is interesting. Oh, Peggy, wrote an email, and this is great. We can push out our events and such. It's largely going to be successful based on what I feel has been very organic till now. And if it can continue to be organic and grassroots and ownership, this is going to be successful only through ownership by all of us, and the responsibility to say, you know what, I want to just expand the reach of my world through this clearinghouse and get my event, get my bulletin board, get my post, get my today's love that I have on, something transportation. That's the stories, it's the apps, and relaying those. So I think that, and we will need responsibility, maybe an entity or an individual, to ensure that we're just gathering this kind of stuff. And thank God, Isabella and Hannah, and we have folks that have been keeping that going. But what we need is all of you and more, to get in here and contribute, become a contributor or a regular contributor. Adam, you may have something, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I was going to say is what you finished with, Deb. I think my vision is that we just continue, find people and organizations to become contributors and really start putting content on this site. Because I think, the way I see this site as is it's ready to go, and it's ready to be live. But what we need is just to have the connections with people and organizations to put content on the site to then make it relevant, and for those folks that might come to it and check it out, on one day, that they see that the value in it and continue to come back. So I think so I think, from that, just really doing the outreach to everyone here, or, hearing back from folks on how, who might be interested, and just maybe if anyone has people or organizations that you think are interested in this, just direct them to that site and have them click that contribute now, and then we can really start that connection and get this populated and ready to go. And then from there, then really start figuring out how to promote, who can promote it, and how we share it to really have a place where people come to it and continue to come to it.
Peggy just wrote in here, and also Jen, that how do we utilize our fantastic interns? Isabella, what do you think of that?
I was just going to say, so I intern work with Deb, and so I've been posting many events on the site, but we have been talking that we know Sustainable Transportation Vermont has interns, and we're hoping to find a way to easily kind of cross-pollinate and create kind of like that relationship. So, hopefully contributors, whether the interns are from Clean Cities or Sustainable Transportation, wherever, that they can create an account and then put their events on Vermont Goes Green. So that's part of the Contribute Now guide that Adam briefly mentioned, but that if everybody or anybody here wants to sign up and become a contributor or find a way to be a member, that would be the end goal, is to have someone from your organization. So yeah, that's very easily facilitated. And if you're interested in pursuing that, just go on the website and then submit that Contribute Now form.
Yeah, but also, Peggy, like what Isabella does is she goes out and looks for information. So she's got a list of websites, and I think that, we could divvy up, I don't know, maybe a time, like a 1 week, this organization, 1 week, this, or intern, or this, and then just go out and find information and to populate it too. That's while we wait for people to push, we can pull.
No, thanks, Laura. Thanks, Isabella. I think that's great. I've got a fantastic intern that is sponsored by Argonne National Labs. I could probably get a UVM intern if I needed as well. Because I have such limited bandwidth.
Right.
And it's just better to utilize these much more nimble brains than my middle-aged brain right now. And I can just kind of spew some stuff off to my intern, and in 9 seconds, she's already done it, as opposed to me where I'm like, wait, I asked my 11-year-old to help me.
Hey, Peggy, and I don't want to offer up Isabella, but Isabella, what if we did a YouTube of you posting an event, or you doing a little webinar, and we get it up on this site on, we've got the contributors guide, which thankfully Hannah put together, and we're now trying to compartmentalize this, and put it into, how do you post an event? How do you post to the bulletin board? Because there's different ways you can do that.
Yeah, I think that'll be our next step, is to decide, do we want to do a video version of the user guide, because it's a very dense document, but I'd be happy to connect with any of your interns, and we could either do like a screen share or a video. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
Steve, and I know we're getting close to 8 o'clock, but there are other people that are on. If they want to chime in, please do.
Yes, please.
Barbara or Scott, Carl.
So do you have an idea of when you might go, start to launch this more publicly?
Well, I think Adam's, put it well, that we're really close, and maybe it's looking at a few contributors that might be interested in joining us to try it out, just to become a contributor and go through the process and give us feedback on that. But I think we're fairly close. It could go live now if we wanted to. What do you
Just
think?
a matter of, you want to be confident that you have that steady stream of up-to-date information.
Yeah.
That you need a lot of people to, you need that open source network out there.
Yeah.
To make it happen.
Yeah. Yost, what do you think? Do you think we're close, or Adam?
I think we are close. Yeah, there's a few loose ends like always, but no, we are very close.
Natalie, you've been right at the center of this. Did you want to?
No, I'm a silent partner cheering you on, but I'll be delighted. This was enormously helpful this evening. And I just want to say that sitting and listening to you all work in these Vermont Goes Green Coalition meetings is truly an honor. I mean, they're beautifully run meetings, and I'm very excited about the website. When I facilitate the next 350 Burlington meeting, which is in about a week and a half, I will be finding out about our status as a contributor to see if we can. I mean, I can't imagine that that's going to be an issue, but so I'm just excited to have been able to listen for several months now to this terrific process.
Well, you've given us good guidance. Maybe turn this corner.
Occasionally, yes. Thank you. That's kind
I want to just say thank you to Sierra Club immensely for the seed funding, for the inspiration support for tonight. This is great.
Yeah, yeah. And for Rick, it was
And
really his tenacity that kept us all at the table.
Yeah. Rick, we have to give, great honor to. He was very much behind and very committed to this. And I helped pick up the ball when he had to take a leave for medical reasons. But he's been with us in spirit every week we'd meet. We actually met all summer, every other week. So it's.
Well, I'm sure he'll be seeing this recording.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And actually, I've sat around and listened to a lot of those conversations along the way. And actually, I was kind of skeptical when Rick told me you guys wanted to do this project. And I was like, you're what? So I'm quite pleased of what your progress you all have made. But just I want to give a quick little announcement of what our conversation is for next week. It's actually about reducing carbon footprint in investments. And we have our state treasurer, Beth Pierce, is going to be presenting and basically in what steps she has done. And then we're also going to have Ben Cushing of the Sierra Club National, who is the senior campaign representative for financial advocacy, basically on some of the steps we've done nationally to push and change the whole marketplace. So these conversations are all recorded on our website. On their upcoming events and we have the upcoming events posted and conversation recordings. This one will be posted up sometime tomorrow. I'll send it to you all. Actually, maybe I'll learn how to add it to your website to do that. So and that way we the Sierra Club can start becoming a regular contributor. So thank you all for presenting. We look forward to the success of it and building on that from there.